All right, everyone. Welcome to this video. I'm really excited to get underway with this. So this is the exact influencer strategy that's made our brand at least, probably more, but at least $1 million in sales over our journey. So I'm really happy and pumped to be sharing this with you all. For those of you that have requested it, thanks for requesting. There's a little bit of an explanation with the document. For those that haven't and are just happen to be watching this video, welcome, and I really hope you get as much out of it as possible. That's my absolute goal here, to provide value for you. So really quick note, many businesses believe that influencer marketing doesn't work for their business. I hear this time and time again that, they've dabbled in it, they've reached out to influencers, they've had bad experience with influencers, either not delivering on their promises or possibly just not getting any, traffic or sales or anything directly that they can actually see. And then once we kind of converse and understand what they've actually been doing, we can sort of see that there's been mistakes they've been making, some really pivotal ones that can turn the tide for the results with their influencer marketing. That's really what I really want to unpack here in this video, share our experiences. So as always, we'll be pulling experience from in our business, Karmic Cold Press Juice. We're currently doing 500K a month on average, and influencer marketing has been a big part of our strategy, and we love it. And to be really fair, in the beginning, I was quite apprehensive about it. I was quite skeptical about it. I wanted to kind of, I guess, do everything on our own. There was a bit of ego driven there. But as time has gone on, I've really started to appreciate and enjoy it. There's so much more than just the transaction that actually happens, that once you see and build a relationship with somebody, and you can see some added benefit, being in sales and revenue, it's one of the most satisfying things ever. And I can definitely say that some of the influencers that we have used, we built a massively long-term relationship with them, and they've become really, really close friends. So we're really appreciative of everybody that crosses our path. So that's what the sort of level that this thing can become. So I just want to, I guess, preface this by saying that it's so much more than the transaction, but obviously there's so much more benefit with the transactions that can be massively seen, which we'll have a look at, even our numbers from way back when we kind of started these strategies until, nowadays, up until sort of January this year. And so as I've just sort of noted here, what we now do, just in case you didn't know, is we help other eComm brands scale their businesses massively. So you can essentially, skip the years of frustration and heartache around building your business. So if that's something of interest, if you're really serious about growing your business, obviously take advantage of this document. But down below, I'll have it in the description on my YouTube channel. Feel free to book an appointment, time to chat, or via Instagram DMs or anything like that. However you've contacted me in this case. So let's jump into it. So some golden rules. This is just a really quick, I guess, executive summary before we even get into it. If you take nothing else from this document, I hope you kind of remember these things. So it is a constant process. People think that, it's a sort of set and forget thing. Maybe you strike gold with one influencer and you're done. But building relationships, building your business is constant. You know this already. And so always be initiating conversations. You want to become really, really well known within your community and within your sphere of influence so that you can broaden your reach. We found really quickly that, I guess, our industry in itself is smaller than what you kind of give it credit for initially. So then you start building relationships with the influential people in your direct market, and then you look to kind of go to broader realms from there, which I'll go into in a bit of a minute. But a constant process. This is always constant. Keep building relationships. The other thing is, do your research. So only approach people you genuinely believe will represent your brand at the highest quality based on their values and behavior. You really want to make sure that you're approaching the right people. And again, we'll go through some pitfalls a bit later. Think the best of people and give them the benefit of the doubt. So this could be in a case where people don't necessarily have like a lot of followers. It might be, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. You're like, oh, this person isn't big enough or whatever. I would say that from experience, don't judge people in that aspect. In some cases, those sorts of people with that many followers or something like that actually have really big influence over their market. So definitely, park that where appropriate. Obviously have your your precautions. And again, we'll go through that in a minute. But in terms of giving people the benefit of the doubt, just give them the credit, treat them as real people, and give them the respect that they deserve. So think the best of people and give them the benefit of the doubt. Be generous with your time and product. So exactly the same as point number 3, but don't penny pinch. So if you're going to give them an experience, if you're going to give them some product, like give them the full suite. The royal treatment. It's about making sure that they're happy and they're content and they're satisfied, and that will be portrayed in all their content. So yeah, be generous with your time and product, and treat them as any other customer, which I hope is in the same way that you would treat them as royalty. Once you get a customer in, you want to treat them the best you possibly can and make sure they have the best experience. So treat them the same way with the highest level of customer service you can provide. Don't just send them product and say, I hope they like it. I sent it for free. They're obliged to do something with it. That's not the mentality you want to take. You want to ensure that every step of the journey. So an example here for us was, obviously we do juice cleanse packs. We were following them up constantly, day by day, even, a couple of times a day throughout their cleansing experience, to make sure that they were doing well, that they were comfortable, if there were any problems. Even asking them for feedback, what they needed. And that provides really good market research for us as well, but also gives them that level of care that, we're real people behind our brand. And so when it comes to the end of actually executing our product, they've had a real genuine experience, and they can reflect probably positively on that experience. Sometimes not, but most of the time it is. So if you treat them at the highest level of customer service you can, you're having a way better chance of them actually feeling obligated to create the best quality content, which is exactly, obviously, what you desire. Similarly, build a genuine relationship. They genuinely could be worth millions of dollars in sales to your brand over the long term. We have experienced this ourselves where, we've, again, followed these principles. We've been generous with our time and product. We've given people the benefit of the doubt and said, yeah, sure, here's a cleanse pack, and we hope you really enjoy it. Again, gone through the customer experience, treated them as royalty, and they have turned out to be our best advocates, our best ambassadors through the years that we've actually been in business, and have generated tens of thousands of dollars for us with their influence. So that is the key to all of this, to build a genuine relationship, to get the genuine ongoing results. We're not about flash in a pan here. We want this to be ongoing. And so that is our final kind of golden rule. And I hope you get a few more nuggets from the rest of the document. So let's go through it. Obviously, there's some examples throughout. Lola Berry is one that we've had a relationship for basically the entirety of our business, and she's been massively influential for us. So we're always thankful for her. So let's just jump through it. I'll go through this document as quickly as possible. But, obviously we have to understand what an influencer is. It's a name, it's a word that's been thrown out a lot in our industry. It's become very normalized. But you have to understand that the influencer is exactly that or not that, based on what sort of business and industry you're actually in. So because someone has 50,000 followers, it doesn't mean it's actually an influential person to you and your market. So an influencer is someone who has the ability to directly speak and influence their audience to take action, such as buy your product. And the transaction itself, I don't like to use the word transaction, but it really is when you're trading goods and services and finances sometimes. That is actually taken into account in a business sense the same way of any other marketing expense. And so, I give you X amount of product. I need to see, what is my expected return on that investment in terms of time and money and branding. There are some intangibles that we do look at to determine the benefits to influencer marketing, which we can go into at another stage, or feel free to drop me a message about it. But something like, followers, for example, people who come back around in 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, there are some intangibles like that. And so if the right person is actually posting for you, there's like such little downside, and all upside. That's the way that we see it. But then you can, in physical sense, and this is when you really do strike gold, you can see the relationship between your outlay, being your time and money and product, and the actual return of that influencer. So for example, we had some cases where So we knew some influencers posted because we started getting all these messages and sales and that sort of thing. And then we looked at the person we'd actually seeded the product to, and they had generated, you know, $10,000-$15,000 worth of sales for us. That was a direct consequence of our investment of time and money. In that case, it was an organic post, so it was even, you know, better in our infancy. And then as time goes on, as you pay people as well, you can use the same metrics there. And so we would average, or at least consider, a really good return on our investment of probably between 8 to 10 times that ROI. So that's the cost of goods, time, money, if that's applicable as well. But that's what we're looking at. And that's the way you should be gauging this time. This is another marketing effort. It's like Facebook advertising. It's like Google advertising. It's like doing your organic socials. This is a marketing effort. So you need to view it as such. And so, you know, some notes here. Whilst influencers can have remarkable impacts on your business, there's several things that we've learned along the way that will help you avoid, you know, this and save the time and money. And it's with this strategy, you'll gain valuable insights and knowledge to know exactly what to do and who to approach to get the most reward for your efforts. And for the sake of this document, if I hadn't said it already, we're just going to focus on influencers on Instagram here. Obviously, there's influencers in any market, any platform, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to focus on Instagram. And really, you can take these same lessons, these same principles, and adopt it to any platform. It's exactly the same way of thinking, but this is probably the most common level of influence platform that people actually use. So it's going to be the most simply to explain and to follow and adopt. So just a really quick couple of figures. So this is back in 2015, and this was a very pivotal time. You can see our numbers along here at the start of the month, the start of May 2015. And this was an evident spike of an influencer actually posting. And you can see the actual flow on. So, okay, initial spike, bang. And then you can see the actual flow on in the coming days and weeks. And it actually doesn't dip that much lower apart from this portion here. And then it goes back up. But that was a direct, like immediate bang that someone had actually posted for us. So that was back when we were, you know, getting beginning. And you can see our monthly revenue literally increased by 189%. Something more, you know, closer to today, in January, to get the year kicked off, we had basically an overall influencer strategy, and you can sort of see the revenue here, bang, 52% increase in revenue in Jan from the previous month. Now, this was a more steady, given that the numbers are probably bigger. We had a bit more spread out. It wasn't just one major influencer. We don't really see those huge spikes anymore, just given the volume that we're at the moment and the exposure that we do have. You know, this was a point where we literally found a new blue ocean for ourselves. Like it was a completely new market. So that's when it has that massive spike impact, when you get that reach to people who've never seen you before and they just want to buy it because of the influencer's impact. Okay. And so in sort of today's terms, having this month, obviously, yeah, 52% increase in sales overall, but it was a lot more steady. We even had a little bit of a dip there around 20th of Jan, but yeah, an overall huge increase in our actual sales. So this is the impact it can have. Like, this is the direct impact that we have seen as business owners, that if you do this strategy correctly, you can have the same success on any scale. Okay, so this is how important this strategy is to us, and why I'm so pleased to be sharing it, and hopefully you guys getting some value out of it. So let's just jump straight in. So look, first things first, you're going to have some wins and losses. We know this. If you've had losses already, you know that. If you've had some wins, you know that. But not all people have an actual strategy. So it's about mitigating the risks and losses, and optimizing and enhancing the potential gains and the actual gains. And so that's the nature of doing business. As long as your wins outdo your losses, you're in good shape to continue growing your brand. So look, generally, when we talk about influencer marketing, there's two main ways that we've done. There's probably a few others, but these are the ones that we know and we've done to do and arrange influencer marketing. The most common one is just direct relationship communication between you, the business owner, or the business, and the actual influencers. It's just a straight up transactional conversation. That's how it kind of starts. And the other way is through an agency. There's actually agencies that have portfolios of influencers. There's even online platforms that have portfolios of influencers that you can kind of reach out to. So it's almost like a bit of both in that sense. So they're just the kind of the ways that you can actually get in touch with them. We've had success with both. There's obviously pros and cons with both. I won't go into them all right now, but hopefully you can kind of understand at least that method of outreach. Through an agency, you will, pay a fee. Even on the online platforms, you'll pay a fee. But there's certain efficiencies and time-saving mechanisms there, such as actually initiating the contacts. Okay, but I would say a con to that would be the firstly the relationship, but secondly the compatibility between your brand. Like if you're reaching out and conversing yourself and building this relationship directly yourself without any other kind of platform or middleman, then it's going to be a lot more genuine, and you're probably going to be a better match. But again, we've had success with both. We've had failures with both, but more wins than losses, which is the most important thing. And then with both methods, there's two other types. There's paid plus product, and really just product. Okay, so it's case by case and what influencer you actually reach out to. So firstly, the research stage, and let's just assume that we're doing direct to influencer now. You'll get the idea with the agency and middlemen there. I recommend you do take a look at it. Agency fees vary, and fees online also vary for those platforms. But let's just assume we're doing the direct outreach. That's what we're here for. So the research stage, obviously where it all begins. Start by looking at people in your market that you follow or that your customers follow, and start to look them up. And I always put myself in the position as the consumer myself, so that I can get in that headspace. Who, if I was buying my products, would I follow or look at or be influenced by? That's exactly what we're doing here. And so a little hint here is to obviously think, you first and foremost think of the simplistic way of, okay, juice or food and drink products for Karmic, that is. And who can I look at there? And that's thinking, I guess, pretty straight line. But a hint here is to think laterally. So think across industries, where people might have influence over your customers, but they're not promoting the same thing. So for us, we use the example of Lola Berry there. She was, of course, health. She's a nutritionist, but her market was yogis, people doing yoga. And so where we were able to tap into her market was in that sphere. So she had massive influence in the yoga sphere. And so we were able to laterally communicate and penetrate that market, where that wasn't our direct market, but it became our direct market over time. So don't just research your direct market. Look at complementary markets where your customers might be. And I just use that example of yoga, but there's also running and gyms, and all other industries. Okay, and start to compile a spreadsheet. Have this organized, have it in a central spot where you can actually document these things. This is so underrated, but it's as simple as this, and you really need to document these things. So what you do is you obviously get the IG handles, document the follower numbers, the engagement rates. So that's kind of the ratios between likes and comments per post in proportion to their followers. You'll start to get a bit of an idea of what's good, what's not. Do they have an engaged audience at all? Have a look at their male to females. If your customers are, predominantly female, for example, like us, and we approach a female influencer who might be, just call it, a model or a bikini model or something like that, we had to really look into their followers. Like, are there lots of males following them because of what they're actually about? Or are there lots of females who are our target market following them as well? That is our actual target market. So just understand who their followers are and what and how and why they're engaging with them. That's a really important point there. And then make some notes, what you like about them, why you think that would be a good representation of your brand. This is another good point here. Look at other brands they've marketed before, if possible. How did they represent them? What did they do? Is it in line with how you like your products to be presented? And what are the possible outcomes of the collaboration? And I've got a bit of a hack here. If it's possible, reach out to those businesses. I know from experience, if I see another small business being promoted by somebody else and I reach out, they're willing to have a chat and willing to share information, especially if they had a really, either experience, but a good or bad experience from what I know. And my experience is they'll be really honest with you. There's no real conflict or it's kind of like I guess, a mutual respect within business, small businesses and things like that, where they'll be just completely honest and transparent with you. So have a chat to them. Ask them what their experience with this influencer was. This obviously legitimizes the influencer as well. So it's a bit more due diligence in that sense. But ask them, how it was dealing with them, what their results were like. And hopefully that'll give you an idea of what to expect when you reach out to them as well. Then classify each influencer into one of these 3 tiers: small, medium, or large. This is really simple. These are just our categories. The gates might move a little bit in terms of how they're classified, but this is how we do it. So 3 to 10K followers is small influencer. 10 to 100 is sometimes they call it a micro influencer, but medium influencer in this case. And 100K is normally a pretty large influencer. So that's how we classify them. And the expectations there do vary based on their followership. So basically, it's more around their experience and their overall influence and the size of their business. So your 100K followers, you're a pretty well established business in that sense, and they treat that relationship a lot more as a business than a person sometimes. And so this is our approach. So small to medium. So under 100K followers, and again, that's kind of like a moving target depending on your industry and that. Unless money is facilitated, we give them products for free every time. Every time. This goes back to the generosity piece. If they are a reasonable fit, if we feel like we can give them a go, and we look at their followers and they all look legitimate and all that sort of thing, and potentially we could see a brand that they've represented before, we give them the benefit of the doubt and we give them product for free every time. There's, again, going back to, there's not that much can go wrong if those boxes are ticked. You never know who you're tapping into. We started with a small influencer who had 5,000 followers and had that mindset of just give it a go, give it for free, with little expectation. Then I hope they have a great experience. We, again, tick those boxes through the experience. They posted, and now they're at, 300,000 followers, and we've built a relationship with them the entire way through. And so we've contributed to them as much as they have contributed to us. And so you never know who you're dealing with. So we've been very generous with our products and time for those small and micro influencers, again, where there's no money exchanged. And that's a separate topic, which I'll just touch on in a second. But, as I say, we've had experiences where the most unassuming influencer has given us the best results because of their direct influence over the market. The proportion of their followers that are actually engaged is where we've found really, really high value. So this is about not underestimating or unassuming. Now, the large, and let's call this, where money is transacted, we've done this. This is more critical to know what type of result you can expect. And so whilst you want to keep the personal touch with it, you really do need to have an understanding of what you can expect. It's a difference between spending $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 for somebody to do a post or a reel or something like that. You really just have to have a good understanding of what you can expect from it. And again, going back to treating it as a marketing expense, if there's bang for buck there, if you're confident you're going to get your money back and some, go for it. It's a no-brainer. If you're going to spend 10 grand and they're going to make you 20 plus all the social proofing with that, go for it. But really have as much understanding as possible. Like, again, other marketing, there's no guarantees, but it's up to you and the responsibility is on you to understand the risks associated with paying for those services. So in our sense, we currently only use paid influencer relationships 2 to 3 times per year, like call it 2 times per year, where we won't risk too much cash flow on somebody. So, I would say our max is like maybe $1,000 or $2,000 for a post or two. Like we don't put so much emphasis on the expectations behind it, because even that seems to kind of crush the vibe of it, I guess. With the expectation, it doesn't come across as how we want it to. So we only commit to 2 to 3 times per year, that sort of transaction. But mostly this has also come about because we've found amazing benefits with small and medium influencers. So paying people has become less important strategy for us. There's such a big community and we've got such a following of the small to medium influencers, that's been sufficient enough for us. We haven't had to, have big fish that are promoting for us. If and when we do, then it's going to be amazing. We know that for a fact because we've got so much exposure now. And kind of ironically, once you start to, get well known in these circles, you do get the attention of the other larger influencers who basically may just want to try your product, and you may again start a relationship with them. So the shoe's on the other foot in terms of them, the willingness. Not just, oh, we're going to pay you and, this is what we expect in return. You can actually start to build a relationship, a longer-term relationship with them, and the results will probably prove to be better. But again, we tried them all. These are some tips that you can obviously use to just be aware of the risks, but also avoid any if you foresee any. So just a couple of examples. We've done our research. You can see our kind of vibe is, casual. This one's a little bit more formal, but you kind of get the drift. And so then it comes time to outreach. So once you've obviously researched, you've categorized, and then comes the outreach. The best advice I can give is be a person. Honestly, be a real human. This is seriously overthought and underappreciated. And, this is a mistake that we possibly made in the beginning, but as time went on, you just have to understand that all people just want to be treated as real people. So communicate this way. It's all about communication. And if you want to build lasting relationships with somebody, then just be genuine, be yourself. There's nothing better than taking that approach. So you can initiate a conversation really simply. Don't just go straight for, hey, do you want some free product? We'd love you to promote it. That's not going to fly. People aren't going to respond to that, and they probably get that, every day of the week. So just start by, praising them a little bit. Say, hey, thanks for the tip, the advice, recommendation. I've been following you for a while. I love what you're doing, this and that. And then, once they respond, which hopefully they will, but you'll get some that won't. And that's okay to follow them up if you do think that they could be a really good fit for you. Get the conversation going. Share with them what you do, what your business is about, and why you think they might be perfect representation for your brand. Make them feel special. Don't just say, we're sending this out to 1,000 influencers. We thought you'd be good as well. Make them feel really special. Comment on something that they've done before that made you think of why you thought of them. So it might be like, oh, I saw you, you're training really hard at the moment or something. Our juices are great for hydration and recovery and whatever. So be genuine and take the time and the effort to see the nuances in how they could be beneficial for your product, and vice versa. Obviously, what's in it for them? You want them to enjoy it as much as possible. You don't want to just give it to them for the sake of it. And again, you have no idea how far this relationship could go. We've had influencers represent us for years because they know us personally and love our brand so much. But this is how it all started. It literally started with a conversation in a DM that has just blossomed. As I say, they had a great experience. They loved our product. We did it in the right way. They didn't care that we were a small business way back when we were. In fact, they enjoyed that and appreciated it. So don't ever think that you have to be something that you're not. Just be completely honest, be yourself, and start to build that relationship with these people. And so the final pieces, come to an arrangement, obviously through the conversations, come to an arrangement, over deliver on your side of the arrangement. If you say you're going to send them a cleanse pack, send them a cleanse pack and something else, definitely a personalized note, maybe something else that's just going to make them think, wow, this is amazing. That's the response that you want to have. Kill them with the kindness. And that goes for the communication as well. Hey, did your package arrive on time? I hope it was, it was laid out all, how you like it and whatever. Let me know if you need anything, have that communication. So kill them with kindness, and then work on an ongoing relationship. Keep working on them and trying to build that and asking them what they need, their feedback. This is as good as anything. They probably get sent a lot of products, a lot of them. So it's worth anything, if anything, it's worth getting their feedback on your product, the delivery, the quality, the packaging, anything. That is some value in itself, as opposed to the other benefits that you could possibly be reaping. And so have that relationship and repeat. don't be afraid to go back to the same influencers. If they did a really great job, if you guys hit it off, keep going, keep repeating with them. We have some influencers that do a juice cleanse once a month, once every 6 months, once a year, and that just keeps going. We pick up where we left off. So repeat the process. And then look, just to really sort of finish this off and hopefully help you avoid some things. This is kind of, I guess, almost assumed within the content we've just gone through, but here's some things just to spell it out anyway. Avoid poses. So this comes into the research piece about engagement and whatever, but this is something we came across. So people who just think they're influencers, but they're really not. They even may have bought some followers or something like that. You kind of get the vibe that it's kind of all really about them and they just want to be famous. So avoid these people like the plague, basically, because they won't have any actual influence, because they don't really believe in anything. People follow other people because they believe in things and they're genuine. So yeah, you'll be able to pick poses out pretty quickly, hopefully, but just really be aware of it and don't be afraid to kind of cut ties if it gets to that sort of point. Scammers, again, like seriously, don't trust people that you're really skeptical of. Again, cut ties. I mean, I'm not trying to contradict myself here with give people the benefit of the doubt. That was more around the kind of people that they are and the business that they're potentially building, but scammers is completely different. Don't give those people the benefit of the doubt. And these people might be that they just take product or whatever, and you never hear from them again. That happens. So do the best research you possibly can and chat to people within your industry that may have had a relationship with them before. Jump in Facebook groups, jump on forums, whatever it takes, and try and get the most information you can up front. Putting all your eggs in one basket. So in a strategy sense, that's, relying on one influencer, for example. Don't just do that. And that's why we said in the very beginning, this is a constant process. Keep going. You find a good one, keep working on them, keep working with them, but you're always finding new people so that you're just building your foundations up and up and up and up. And really, you want to get to the stage where every month or every week, you've actually got somebody representing your brand. Again, it's part of that organic strategy that we're using to build our business. It's not just one thing all the time. It's really broadening your strategy. So that's the strategy in terms of how many people you approach. And then from the markets, as we said, go laterally. Look at lateral markets and don't just focus on one particular market. There's influences in other markets that have your customers sitting right under them. Okay, so look at those things, look laterally. The other thing, don't get disgruntled. So a lot of business owners that say, no, it doesn't work. Nah, it doesn't work. They get really angry at one influencer who may not have delivered on what they said they would. Just don't get disgruntled. It's often said that if you're getting disgruntled or worked up about something, you just don't have enough going on. You don't have enough customers or clients or influencers or marketing strategies that you can go to. Just move on. Just move on. That one didn't work. So keep working on ones that are getting closer to working. You will get there. People who are just transactional, again, you're not going to get any cut through with people if you're just purely transactional. So be a person and be really genuine about it. I mean that's I can't really drive that point home, because at the end of the day, especially in this day and age, this time of influencers, it's not just going to be about the sales. It's going to be about the social proofing. And as I say, the intangibles almost of how a customer comes back around and eventually buys from you. That's just, I'm sure you can think of circumstances where that's happened. It's not one touch point. It's never been one touch point for somebody. It was the old rule of kind of 5 to 7, but now with social media and digital marketing, it's like 15 to 20 times probably. And then they see this one influencer and they happen to buy from you. So yeah, don't be purely transactional when you're working on this strategy. And penny pinching. So that means just being cheap. So don't be cheap. Give them a really good experience. Give people the benefit of the doubt, and really enjoy and enjoy connecting with people and conversing with people. It's a really cool thing once you get it going, once you start to see the fruits of your labor over time. And I mean, I don't have to go into it too much, but you can just see that, over this period of time, this is how much our business has grown. And I can definitely say that influencers and the strategy that we have adopted has contributed to this success, and it can help you as well. So with that, I hope that's helped. I hope that's clear and concise. If you've got anything, any questions, feel free to ask me. Feel free to book at a time to chat if you want to go over anything. And especially if you think we can, if you need help with your business generally, book in a time to chat and we can go from there. But I hope that helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.